Hey everybody, welcome to We've Got the Beat, the podcast devoted to 80s entertainment and beyond. I'm your host Michael, and Mindy's on the other side.
Yo, good job.
Fucking yeah! 2 for 2!
Longest ever.
I don't expect to go 3 for 3. This episode we're discussing the 20th anniversary of Bubble Boy and Donnie Darko. Yeah, weird combo, but it's Jake Gyllenhaal. So that's the connective tissue right there. Let's talk about the easy one first, while my brain warms up. Bubble Boy. Not a good movie, but a fun movie.
What do you mean, not a movie?
I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
Okay, listen. Does it make any sense? I don't think so. What's it about? I don't fucking know. Is it good? I think so.
Yeah,
I think it confuses me enough to think it's good. I'm not sure or not.
It's the performances. I don't think the script is really there. I love road trip adventure movies, though, don't you?
Wait, we're talking about Bubble Boy.
Bubble Boy, yes. Road trip adventure movies, I think, are the best for a person like me with severe attention issues. Because every 5 minutes, you get another story. You get to introduce yourself to a new character.
Okay, Bubble Boy, yes. Okay, for some reason, I know you said let's start with Bubble Boy, and I still was thinking Donnie Darko. So, is Bubble Boy a good movie? No, it's not, but it's fun. And yes, I think that he really commits. Everybody really commits. Sort of like, I'm going to make a reference that you don't understand because you still haven't fucking watched this movie, Hocus Pocus.
No, I watched it 2 years ago.
Okay.
4 years ago? 4 years ago.
Not really that good of a movie, but it's the commitment to the role that really sell it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm looking at the way these are filmed, and I'm almost certain that Donnie Darko was shot first. So this must have been to cleanse his palate. He wanted something fun and silly and to change up because he's in his early days, and he wants to kind of give a wider spectrum of what he can do and show off and directors what he's capable of. And he comes off this really dark, deep movie and then goes into something completely silly. And I don't think he's ever done another comedy again, has he?
I mean, to be fair, I also don't know that he really had the ability to be terribly choosy when he was, 19, 20 years old or whatever.
No, but I mean over the last decade, it's almost all dark movies.
I'm just saying. He is more of a dark, serious actor. I dare say the closest thing to comedy that he's done since is Far From Home.
Yeah, but is his character funny?
I mean, it's lighter.
Okay.
But only in the times that when he finally shows the facade, it has some funny moments. But no, otherwise I say no. He doesn't do comedy. He does strange. He does troubled young man. He does dark. He does angry. He does action, he does violence.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm just thinking about his early run. So his first really breakout role was October Sky, correct?
Yeah.
And then there's a 2-year gap where he has this and Donnie Darko almost on top of each other, which I think Donnie Darko, if I remember correctly, had played the festivals in early January, and that got all the buzz. Which later next year is what I'm pretty sure Donnie Darko is what got him The Good Girl and Moonlight Mile. Bubble Boy really didn't do anything for him. That might also be something he's shy of ever attempting comedy again, especially broad comedy, because this failed so poorly.
The weird thing is, so I think that Donnie Darko actually filmed in like 99 or so, a couple of years before it came out. I feel like there is a strange connection, though, between Jimmy and Donnie, though. There's like this weird innocence, like in both characters, that I kind of see him playing them sometimes similarly. I don't know if you see the comparison that I'm referring to, but there's some kind of, I don't know, like awkward innocence there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's more. I don't see it, but with me, I feel like there's a naivete, of course, in Bubble Boy because he's cut off from the world. He seems wiser than his years, and something is going on behind those eyes that he wants to fuck with the system. I don't think innocent, or maybe he's just an angry youth and he doesn't understand the repercussions. Doing maybe in that way, yes.
Maybe.
But Bubble Boy is just this big, huge farce. It is not cheap. I looked. Back then, you can always tell when there's a special effects shot that's like, ooh, that hasn't aged too. There's some stuff in this. Very good stunt work, some good, I don't know if it's CGI shots or what, but especially with like the bubble flying into Niagara Falls. I think they must have put a decent amount of money into this. It look good. And I really miss this era of really bright, shiny, shot on film kind of movie that I'm just nostalgic for, of course, because nostalgia is a lie because you just want to be younger. That's it. It's really not an era of filmmaking that's better than others, but it's just your craving. I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh, I don't know. I just think, that there was a time around this period that they were doing lots of, more silly, just goofy stuff that is lighthearted and kind of sweet,
Right.
even if it's also kind of dumb.
When is the last time you saw a comedy successful in theaters? I feel like everything's TV now, or stream.
Oh, I don't know. 21 Jump Street.
Oh my god, that was almost a decade ago. Dear Lord.
What's the Bad Moms?
Okay, yeah, it's been years. But yeah, this is during that wave of teen movies that exploded after American Pie. This is one of the few, though, that isn't R-rated. That it has sexual jokes, but it skirts that, just so it can make under the PG-13. It's so sweet and silly that I think if they had made it R-rated, it would have ruined.
Yeah.
We also have, I think this is my introduction to Marley Shelton. I think she might have been was she in Pleasantville?
I think so. She actually was in a lot of movies around this time. I can't tell you which ones.
Yeah, but I just think she's just a very fun, interesting, and doesn't seem as generic. Like back then, there were so many just like who's the person on TV right now we can cast and some generic.
Yeah.
And I think
my introduction to her was she's the hot lifeguard in the Sandlot.
You're kidding me! I didn't realize.
Which was many years before.
Wow. I think Swoozie Kurtz almost steals this fucking movie.
Oh my god.
Unbelievable. And now that I'm in a house by myself, I can say that I see comparison. Hers is more extreme, obviously, but I can see the comparisons. Her and my kind of hurt a little bit. How I was first born, and I was still to this day super protective and trying to block me, just trying to keep me from being a normal guy. Good Lord. That's a little deep cut there, and I'm not going to go, yikes.
I was going to say, maybe let's not.
Yeah, Dave Sheridan is the boyfriend, and this is a trend. Thank God I think this is over with. Every single movie that had some sort of romantic triangle, the guy was always a douche. And I never understood what the girl ever saw in him. And I feel like that went into overdrive with like wedding scenes. And then every movie after that had some sort of dipshit boyfriend. Clearly wrong.
He's just the placeholder for the person that they really want, and that's why they can't really see how bad they are, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's so weird because I feel like I've seen so many movies with him lately.
Wow, I only remember the stuff he originally
But I'm saying like things I've rewatched recently.
Oh, okay, yeah, Ghost World, of course.
Ghost World. I watched like Scary Movie, like the 1 and 2, and the like Dewey-like character or whatever in that.
I'm trying to remember. He was Frank McCluskey, CI.
Oh,
and that was
really?
supposed to be his big, and they went straight to video and just like, yeah, he just like.
It was just a coincidence that I watched a movie that came out in 2000 and then 2 that came out in 2001 that all had him, and I watched them within the last couple of months. It's just a strange coincidence because he hasn't really done that much stuff.
No. I think John Carroll Lynch, this must have been early on before really anybody knew him. I love him, but he had nothing to do in this movie. It kind of sucked.
Well, true, but I still like that he plays a different character than he usually does. It seems like he, not always, but often plays like kind of like creepy bad people.
See, I only know him as Drew Carey's brother, so it's so weird. I hear that from other people. So I guess he's on American Horror Story.
Yeah, I think that he did multiple seasons, but there's a one specific season where it's at like a circus. It's like the circus season, and he's like a killer clown named Christy.
No, clowns. Ew.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but I think that there's something else that I know him from, and I'm just trying to, I can't remember what it is, but something else, he's kind of bad, creepy in.
Oh, Zodiac.
I think that must be it, yeah, the Zodiac. So, I don't know. I think it was kind of nice that he was sort of like a sweet guy who, I don't know, was looking, who knew really what was best for Jimmy and kind of gave him some freedom. I thought it was sweet, but yeah, I mean, he didn't have a lot to work with, and he's has a lot of potential.
Do some of the scenes make you squirm because of the way the world changed over the last 20 years? I feel like the freak show thing maybe was...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there's a lot of awkwardness. I think, in retrospect, I think like a huge chunk of movies wouldn't be made now, or at least not in the same way.
Right. The $500 thing could have collapsed so badly if Jimmy wasn't so and didn't realize that was like kind of gross. But yeah, it's there's so many things. I think it's because Jake Gyllenhaal is such a sweet adventurous boy. That's what makes you fall in love with his character. And I think that's why this... Yeah,
the pure innocence and the way he plays that is the only reason why the movie works, honestly.
But I knew this movie was going to bomb the second I saw the comment there bragging. The bragging point was from one of the producers of Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Not the first Austin Powers, the shitty Austin Powers, and just one of the producers. Doesn't mean shit. How is that a selling point?
I don't know. I thought it was really funny. One of the facts about the movie was how much Danny Trejo liked the role in this movie because he didn't die, and he didn't have to kill, and he didn't kill anybody either.
Yeah, I liked his character. I love the fact that it turned into this big circle of thing that everybody's after him for a different, and he's kind of oblivious to the whole thing. That religious cult led by Fabio of all people. What the hell? This kind of pairs better, I would say, with Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah, I can see that.
And his innocent dopes with all these people trying to come after him, they don't know why, and kind of a road trip adventure, sort of, but it's all in one location. If you guys haven't seen, but I say, it's a fun watch. It's not very expensive. You get it for like $5. It's a nice, and especially a change of pace.
I think this is also my maybe first introduction to Zach Galifianakis.
Maybe it does seem like it's really early on in his.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird to think that he was kind of a dramatic actor for a while. He did this, but in Out Cold, which are comedy. But then after this, I think he got cast in True Calling at Submarine
Below.
Yeah, not Blow, but Below. It's like the Halloween Howling. But for a short bit there, he was a dramatic actor.
He was also in Into the Wild, which I didn't remember, but is also kind of... It's not really a comedy at all.
I've never seen one. That's the one with Sean Penn, who dies out in Oregon or something like that.
Yeah, Alaska.
Emile Hirsch.
It's a really good movie, but it's very sad.
Well, to go on to other sad, strange things, Donnie Darko, a movie that I am still trying to wrap my head around. I haven't seen it forever, and I was like, back then, I was so like, this is the greatest movie ever! It's the same way I would with Fight Club. Any movie that had some sort of dark... twisty, turny kind of thing I thought was the greatest thing ever. I mean, I'm sorry everybody. Some of these movies now kind of frustrate because I feel like they're realistic. Not Donnie Darko, but I just watch some of these now and it's the dark tone and dead serious. Maybe it's because I've lived so much more, realize that life is dark enough as it is. But, okay, so explain to me the movie, so it's feeding its own timeline. Is that what's happening? He gets a vision of two different timelines streaming simultaneously in like a loop. And that's how he can stop it, is because he gets but it starts over again, or what? Or is it simultaneous? I don't know what is... Yeah,
sure. That.
Okay. But I
don't know. I don't understand the damn movie.
Is it not meant to be understood? Is it like Southland Tales? Is this just the way that Richard Kelly usually works? Like Darren Aronofsky has the same problem?
I kind of think that Richard Kelly might be kind of a douchebag. Sorry. I think that he thinks stuff is a work of genius, and he just happened to have one movie that was good, but I think it's only because, like, the acting is really good. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it does seem like it climbs up his own ass, and it doesn't want you to truly understand it. This is art! And I feel like time travel movies are the easiest to climb up your own ass and not have to explain it. It's... Or dreamlike kind of movies. You know, the way David Lynch is. It's all a dream, man. Look, I like Phantasm. I don't know what the fuck is going on in Phantasm because he purposely did a nightmare. And I think that's actually lazy filmmaking. I think it's a way of copying out of make sense. Yeah,
I don't understand David Lynch. I mean, they might be visually interesting, but it doesn't mean... there's some things that I can accept, but I'm never going to quite understand what's happening, or at least like, you know, when they like just end a movie and then it just ends.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, but what now?
It's to me, it's music video logic. Music videos,
it's Saturday Night Live sketch logic.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we're out, we're done, and none of it made any sense. We're like, wait, what? It's like a concept with no, I don't know. It's this one's a little bit better, I think, than a lot of those, because it does seem like it's trying to tell a streamlined story, but with a very difficult plot.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you've seen Predestination with Hawk. Seen that one?
No.
It's one of those time loops. It's constantly feeding into itself, and somehow he has a sex change that goes back in time, has sex with himself, and his baby is, I don't fucking understand it, but it's entertaining.
Okay, cool.
But Donnie Darko is the one that made his career. It really did. Yeah, October Sky got acclaim and it did okay. But it was Donnie Darko that got all the people. It didn't do that well either time that they released it. The first time, I think it made like $500,000. The second time, they're like, oh, now it's a big hit on video. Let's re-release the director's cut. And it made the same amount of money. You watched the director's cut. I watched the original. Did you know?
I couldn't necessarily point out specific things that are different. However, I do feel like there was some things that felt more like it made a little bit more cohesive story. Like it flowed better. I'm trying to think of an example of stuff that was in that version that wasn't in the original. I can't think right now. But if I can remember, I'll tell you. I just think that it felt more. Well, I think major thing was, did they talk about? They talked about mother death, right? How long ago did you watch it?
I just watched it like 2 days ago.
Okay,
I crammed it in.
So mother death, and then the whole thing about her. You know how she was a teacher, and then she got into time travel and wrote the book about the time travel. But is that all they talked about, or did they get into the details of the book? Not
really, but they just kind of talk about her in the neighborhood or whatever, and this old lady wanders back and forth, but they never really get into the details, except Noah Wyle does have a conversation about time loop.
So after he like explains to him about her and shows him the book, he gives him the book, and he starts like reading it, and then there would be clips of it, like different rules and guidelines of time travel and things from her book. Then it would show something of his behavior or his actions that explain this law of time travel. So I think there's something more cohesive about it, because they get more in depth about the book and the time travel and the laws of time travel. I mean, obviously, it doesn't really matter if it's real or not, but it makes the story more cohesive.
Right. Well, and that's the rule, I think, with a lot of time travel movies. You can be absurd and crazy as possible, but you have to set your rules. It's just like monster movies. You have to have some sort of mythos and follow the rules. If you don't, then it's awful.
So this version has rules that I don't think are in the original version. And I do think that kind of makes, not that I understand time travel any better, but I think that it makes the story more cohesive.
It's so surprising Drew Barrymore is the one that's responsible for getting this made.
I know.
When you think about the movies that she was making at this time, so not what I expected. And her stuff, was kind of big studio. I mean, she had just come off of Charlie's Angels, and then she brings this and wild. And frankly, without her, this wouldn't.
Probably why she wanted to do it.
Yeah, change up her image, because I think what she had, like the 1-2 punch of Wedding Singer and Ever After, which had her pigeonholed as that. Then she took Charlie's Angels.
Ever After was kind of different for her, but.
Oh, I forgot Never Been Kissed, but I think she wanted to change the image of just a sweet girl, a sweet innocent girl, and because before that she was like the crazy girl. Remember that era with like Boys on the Side and Mad Love and David Love.
Yeah, she was like the what do they call that?
Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and then she was she kind of reborn herself as the sweet girl store, and then she really just mixed it up with Charlie's Angels as a badass, and this is like a more deeper, intellectual, but also tormented, because what she's trying to teach is trying to be banned in the school, and that has to be hell. I mean, that's bad enough for people like you and I. Well, it must be worse for you because you're a librarian. But anybody whose life, English, and a nightmare. And who's that fucking lady? She's always a shithead in every movie I've ever seen her in.
Beth Grant.
Beth Grant.
Just the concept of censorship and people who are trying to make choices for others, especially when they almost never actually read the material themselves. They are just parroting bullshit they hear from others. I mean, you would not believe how common it is even today.
People demand books get taken off your shelves?
Not as much here, but lots of places in the United States, especially schools.
I remember when I was a kid, people were trying to pull Huckleberry Finn off the shelves.
Well,
and I remember years later, there's a whole hubbub about Harry Potter being... What's this one again? What's by Graham Greene?
It's called The Destructors or something.
Yeah, it's such a minor thing to try to pull. I was so surprised that she was fighting so hard in this, and I was like, wow, choosing that book of all things, okay.
I will tell you that I went out to a bookstore, found a collection of his short stories, and bought the whole book just because of this poem from this movie.
Oh wow. I just think that there's a lot going on more than the time travel. I think the time travel thing is interesting. To me, yeah. I love seeing him take down Patrick Swayze and this obsession with this borderline religious emotional guru who's so full of shit, who is selling his wares to the school. And I wonder now, when I look back on how many people came to my school, and was paid to make some sort of speech, did they even believe in what they're doing, or did they just do it for the money?
Well, the weird part is like in the video clips and things like that they showed, they never said anything. Like, it was all just speaking in circles, and you're just like, what the fuck are they even talking about? Nothing.
Yeah, and I admire that Patrick Swayze did this, because he's coming off an era where he was elite. And he had a lot of bombs. He got that terrible motorcycle. Basically was so close to going into that direct-to-video cheap world that a lot of actors go into. And he chose to take supporting roles in independent movies. Now, they didn't get much more than he would because they were barely released. But if you're going to spend the last decade of your career doing something, do independent movies that matter. Yeah,
I think he contributed a lot to this movie, not just the role he played, but also I was listening to some of the directors. There's like a version with commentary with the director and Jake Gyllenhaal, and they were saying how like they went to his house, they filmed all those stupid videos at his house. He wore all of his own clothes from the 80s. He really like opened up like his property and all the stuff for them, and was just like super gracious with his home and stuff.
Yeah. Well, he needed to change his image because everybody saw him as like kind of just all bronze, no brain. And this kind of, I couldn't tell you a lot of movies he did after this, but it kind of just look at him, a slimy scumbag. He got busted for child pornography, and that kind of shatters their whole mood. It's so weird that he spends all this time being told by Frank to commit these crimes. Everything has to line up in a certain way. But doesn't he undo all of that by having time loop back around in a plane accident? I'm so confused.
But isn't it kind of the point that he needs to undo all this damage?
Then why did he do the damage in the first place?
Because he's mentally ill. See? It's confusing.
So is Frank schizophrenia? Hallucinate a voice from the future?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think any of this was real, or do you think that he was mentally ill? Well, was it some kind of combination of both?
But how did he see Frank when that kid James Duvall is dressed as Frank later in the movie? He doesn't know. By the way, his best friend is Frank.
Yes, I did.
So how does he know? He's never even seen the guy before until that moment when Zoe
How do you know that he didn't actually see him, though? In the movie, they don't show them interacting, but that doesn't. He didn't see him in the periphery of his life. I don't know. See? The movie doesn't make sense. You cannot logically.
I think it's hilarious that both of these movies. Did you know there was a Bubble Boy musical?
I knew none of these things, and now I will not rest until I see a musical version of Bubble Boy.
It's on YouTube, I think.
I cannot die without seeing the bucket list thing.
I wonder if they
Wow.
incorporate any of the because the music in Bubble Boy is kind of like that pop
So
punk.
good.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And in this one, it's late '80s modern rock, and
Also so good.
so damn. But I noticed that there's a big part of the commentary. I mean, this has affected Richard Kelly in real life. Is that era? 1988 is when we were so fucking revved up. Is having that Christian revival, Republican boom, post. We're almost post Reagan. We're ready to go into Bush. You know, they even had that discussion in the caucus. What I like is the parents didn't like argue with her. They're just like, oh, all right.
No, I think that they were actually good parents that they were pretty fucking understanding parents, and to the point where, you know, they were pretty logical about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And just like when he tells her to shove the book up her ass or whatever.
Yeah.
And how, like, the dad starts laughing because she's a lunatic and they can't really punish him. I mean, they should because it was disrespectful, but also she's a lunatic and they know it. And he's not wrong. And I also heard on the commentary they said, Richard Kelly said he had to leave the room. He could not be anywhere remotely near them when they filmed that scene because when she gives that line, that he would just die laughing every single time she delivered it. He could not control himself, so he had to completely leave because it's really, really good.
You're right. You know what? I think he was crazy because there's that scene soon after where he's extremely.
Yes.
And I just don't know why. And it's like he's so fucked up. And Jenna Malone tries to connect to him and ends up, oh yeah. So he ends up getting killed because of his stupidity. Okay, so Tommy had to go back around or get himself.
I think that there's a few things. Like maybe, you know, we'll also he killed Frank.
Yeah, that's right. Why do you have the gun? I missed that. I'm actually lost as to how that ever happened. Did I pick it up?
The magic sphere took him to his parents' closet, directed him to the gun. It was like Frank was taking him to the gun to make him do this. I don't know. I just don't know if Frank is really just, you know, a creation of his mental illness and that he was just so disturbed that he was just creating this madness and destruction on his own. And it doesn't have to make sense because he's mentally ill. You know?
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
I get why he did what he did to Jim Cunning. He was a bad fucker.
Yeah.
Like, and he needed people to know he was a bad person. But, you know, flooding the school and, you know, doing all this stuff, he was so rude to everyone in his family. Like, just so unnecessarily rude for no reason. I think that he was just a fucking mess. You know, he was on and off with his medication, and that made him even more unstable, unpredictable, because you can't just stop taking medication and not have huge side effects.
Learned that the hard way this week.
And then when you get back on your meds, it takes a long time to readjust, you know? So it's just like, he was just a fucking, like, yo-yo, and he was, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like this is a movie that you can't logic.
Okay.
You just have to, like, I mean, for me, I just have to accept the interesting and strange things that are unfolded in front of me and either enjoy it or go crazy.
Yeah, your brain collapses.
Yes.
I find it interesting that on the cover, they have everybody's name except for one person who's extremely important to this. Mary McDonnell. And Catherine Ross, too. Let's add Catherine Ross. She's a fucking legend. And I'm surprised that they didn't put either one of them on the cover.
I mean, it's kind of strange because, yes, Catherine Ross is a legend. They said that she hadn't acted for like 15 years or something before this, but she was looking for a project to get back out there. And really, they were really lucky to get her. But my God, Mary McDonnell is so amazing. She's amazing in, like, everything she does. And honestly, she's kind of a legend in her own right. And such a good actress. And, yeah, it's strange. I mean, her name's not even on the poster. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's. I guess they just wanted to fit the five. So the cover, I don't know if it changed for yours. The original cover is Frank's head, his mask, whatever, and they fit every face around that mask and cranny. The new release is just Frank, but I guess they just want to fit the faces in every open spot, and they could only fit 5. I don't know, but Noah Wyle doesn't particularly belong on the cover of this. He's only in it for like 5 minutes.
But was it still during his
It is ER days.
ER days, and that's why. So the original movie poster has the same image you're talking about, I think. But it says Jake Gyllenhaal, Jenna Malone, Drew Barrymore, Mary McDonnell in the top row, Catherine Ross, Patrick Swayze, Noah Wyle in the second row. So I think that was the original movie poster.
Oh, okay.
But I'm seeing an enormous amount of different covers.
This does seem like the kind of movie they need to sell internationally. They're probably worldwide, because ER was a massive hit. It just surprised me, because I'm sitting there watching going, wait, how the fuck is Catherine Ross in this and no one made any mention?
I know. Yeah, I think that the cover, there's a 10th anniversary edition where it's like Jake Gyllenhaal with his axe over his shoulder, and then Frank behind him. I think that's a really misleading cover. It makes it look like a horror movie.
Right. I mean, it's dark, but it's not like
it is
American Psycho.
It is called Donnie fucking Darko. Yeah. Hello.
Did you see the sequel at all?
No.
Darko? I don't have any interest in it. It seems like it's just purely to make some but Richard Kelly apparently
this girl. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say this girl did The Ring and stuff. Not the next year, stuff like that. So she was kind of. I think. Oh, she also. I don't know if you know this. She also does the voice of Lilo in Lilo and Stitch.
Oh no, I had no idea.
She's actually done a lot of stuff, and I think they were kind of riding on her coattails instead.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Maybe one day it says here Richard Kelly is working on a sequel because that's what happens when it dries up. It's like the guy who keeps making Boondock Saints movies even though no one wants a part 3. He said he was inspired after meeting James Cameron in 2010, who found the film disturbing and had Kelly explain what happened to Donnie at the film. But he says continue working on the project and that there's something big and epic that could be.
Shut up.
Richard Kelly, has he made anything since The Box? Am I wrong?
No, he hasn't.
Wow.
So this movie, Darko, has a 3.6 on IMDb, which is pretty fucking low. Yeah. But it does have John Hawkes.
Oh. Wow.
And a couple, and Matthew Davis, who I'm a huge fan of, and some other also Elizabeth Berkley. So that kind of evens out everybody. I'm mildly curious because of that, but honestly, it's probably just an American Psycho 2 thing,
Oh, yeah.
What the hell? Why did you make this movie? This has barely any connection to anything. You're grasping at straws, and it sucks. The end.
Yep. So, is there anything else you want to say about the movie before we go?
I don't know. I think it's interesting because when you go back and I have seen many times. I will tell you that when it came out, I was 21. I saw probably, I didn't see it at the theater. I saw it on video. So I was, 21, 22. My college experience was very disturbing for me. I think I was very much looking for I think rebellion and stuff in the situation because of the situation I was in was very smothering.
Yeah.
So I think that I really latched on to stuff like this at that time, the one with virgin suicides. I'm not saying that I was suicidal by any means. I'm just saying
darker, more complex movies like Requiem for a Dream, Fight Club.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Dark, more complex ideas,
Matrix.
Rebellion, stuff like that really resonated with me at that time. And so I saw this movie so many times and I was so into it. And it wasn't the reason why I love Jake Gyllenhaal. That was October Sky. That was several years before this. But, I saw so many of his movies in the theater. I drove to the next town so I could go see Good Girl at the independent movie theater. I had years long love affair with Jake Gyllenhaal because of stuff like this. And anyway, so I think, I hadn't seen the movie in a long time. And while I think there's more of me now clearly a 20 years later in a different place in life that I prefer to have more. I'd still like to have more understanding than just to accept the darkness, but I still can appreciate the movie, especially now. I think a different viewpoint of, appreciating the acting, and also the perspective of the parents seems a little bit different to me now.
Yeah, I really do think her McDonald.
Yes, but also looking back, and it has been several years, all of the people that you were like, oh, I didn't know you, like Seth Rogen was his, like, I think first movie. Alex, what's his name, Greenwald, who is the lead singer of, what's it called?
I have no idea who that is.
He's the lead singer of a band with California.
Oh, Phantom Planet?
Phantom Planet. Singer of Phantom Planet. He was the bully with Seth Rogen.
Okay.
He also, Ashley Tisdale of all people, was like, I think her first role, where she probably 12 years old, has brown hair and like doesn't look like herself. Fran Krantz, you mentioned, just, so many people like kind of on the fringes of things. The girl who plays like Sharita, what is her name? She went on to do tons of other things. Just lots of like little things that kind of all add together to make it, really interesting. A lot of these people generally are more supporting characters, like Beth Grant is usually a much more supporting character. She doesn't get to be like, I don't know, a bad guy who gets to have stick bad. So I think it wasn't a cast. And yeah, frankly, he got super fucking lucky with how good of a cast he got.
Yeah, for such a, I didn't know it was, I know it's low budget. When I looked at it 4.5, I was like, oh, that's more than I thought. Because it must have mostly gone to the cast and the music. The music had to be, but it does really evoke that.
They had to do a couple of interesting effects,
But it's it's just too bad that it wasn't successful. Like I said, I looked it up. It was a big hit at Sundance Festival, but it came out right after 9/11, and the whole plane is part of the plot, and they had to just basically put in art house cinemas, and that was it. I don't think it was ever really going to be a big hit anyway. It's just too complicated.
Yeah, they had said that they thought that it was going to go straight to video, or straight to like cable, like Stars or something, but I think somebody helped them, like, I don't know, Kevin Smith or something helped them get more buzz and get it picked up by somebody. I don't remember if it really was Kevin Smith, but I think he's friends with Richard Kelly, because on the DVD version I have, there is a commentary that Richard Kelly does with Kevin Smith.
Oh, okay.
So that might be kind of an interesting experience. But I think, between Drew Barrymore and I think Kevin Smith, I think it may not have even gotten a release in the theater at all. But they did talk about how 9/11 really, definitely could have had some effect on things. But no, I don't, this is not a movie that's meant for,
But that era was weird, though, because you were getting movies like out of nowhere that were strange, that were making money, like Memento and stuff like that shouldn't have.
Butterfly Effect.
Yeah, it's some of these movies that you're shocked it made money. It's that sweet spot where we're interested in darker stories, and that's pretty much that stuff seems more relegated. Just like the Bullboy, like silly stuff is all streaming.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting now how much things have changed. How even things that are seemingly big budget are straight to streaming networks.
I can't believe the budgets on some of these. Red Notice is like $175 million. I'm like, what? Oh my god!
Yeah.
How do you make your money back?
But it's really about who has more money.
Yeah, and they're all going to go broke eventually. I'm telling you right now. No, and at a decade from now, maybe two of them will be standing, and it ain't going to be Netflix. It is not going to be Netflix unless they buy a studio. They need to buy a studio. Yeah, they have to buy like Lionsgate or Paramount or somebody to supply their. So that is it for this episode. Check us out on Facebook under Hit Rewind Podcast. You'll find all our episodes there, and that's it.